The best receiver on the market has just been traded, with the Seattle Seahawks sending DK Metcalf to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a second-round pick, which many may view as a bit of an overpay considering the fact that NFL experts believed the best Seattle could get for DK was a third-rounder, meaning that in the background there was a bit of a bidding war going on, and the Steelers were the team to pull the trigger and offer a second-round pick. And it makes sense considering the fact that the organization has been stuck in a bit of a no man's land since Big Ben's retirement. The team goes out and wins 9 to 10 games a season, makes the playoffs, only to lose in the wild card round. And they believe that DK Metcalf is the piece to get them over the edge. And this move tells the rest of the NFL that the Steelers are all in on winning right now. Because not only did they give up a highly valued asset to acquire DK Metcalf, but they also gave DK Metcalf a massive extension. And you could listen to all the reports surrounding DK as to why he chose to leave Seattle and request a trade in the first place. But the number one issue was money. He was on the last year of a 3-year deal worth $72 million and was looking for a pay raise. You know, his average salary sat at about $24 million, and he was trying to get to that $30 million mark. And that's exactly what the Steelers gave him. They gave him a deal worth $150 million for the next 5 years. So DK Metcalf got his money, and the Seahawks made off like bandits. Now, this new contract for DK Metcalf puts him in a very exclusive club, and that club is wide receivers who make $30 million or more annually. Includes greats like CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Amon-Ra, AJ Brown, and some way, somehow, Deebo Samuel. Yeah, I don't know how he got that contract. He fooled the San Francisco 49ers organization. There's a reason that the Niners shipped him off to Washington. He's now their problem, and all they got in return was a 5th rounder. So again, it just shows you how great the Seahawks did by getting DK Metcalf off their team for a 2nd rounder. And it's not like he's a bad player, he's old, or he's injury prone. The real reason the Seahawks shipped DK Metcalf off, 1, he requested a trade, and 2, they are heading for a rebuild. And we'll talk more about this in a second, but for right now, I wanted to remind you guys to slow down, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 10,000, every subscription is greatly appreciated, so please subscribe. But let's get back to Seattle here. Now, the Seahawks have been making plenty of moves this offseason, with the first move being to release a Seattle Seahawk legend in Tyler Lockett. He spent the first 10 years of his career, the only 10 years of his career, with the Seahawks. He's a one-time Pro Bowler, one-time All-Pro, and talk about a guy who shows up to work every day. Because you'd have to go all the way back to 2016 to find a season where Tyler Lockett played less than 16 games. He's been there for the Seahawks through the thick and thin of it. He was there at the end of the dynasty where they were winning all the Super Bowls. He was there past the Russell Wilson era and into the Geno Smith era. And speaking of Geno Smith, that's another move that this franchise made recently, with Smith being traded to the Las Vegas Raiders for a 3rd-round pick. John Schneider was really able to turn nothing into something there, because 4 years ago, you talk about a guy like Geno Smith, and the only words that come to your mind are what if? What if he worked out with the New York Jets? What if he lived up to the hype? But recently, he was able to revive his career. A great story out there in Seattle, and many other quarterbacks have followed suit as of recently. Sam Darnold, for example. But Geno Smith is now on the move to the Las Vegas Raiders. And while the Tyler Lockett move didn't surprise many, this Geno Smith one was definitely a great signifier that DK Metcalf would eventually be out the door. And here we are in present day with all 3 now being off the team. And it makes sense. You look at their coaching staff. They no longer have a guy like Pete Carroll. They have Mike Macdonald, who in his first season with the Seattle Seahawks didn't disappoint. He got the team 10 wins. Of course, they did miss the playoffs, but Macdonald proved that he's a good coach with a mediocre roster, because that's what the Seahawks had, a mediocre roster last season. So it was clear to everybody in and around the organization that John Schneider hit the rebuild button, and it's a guarantee that the Seahawks will be bad for the next 2 to 3 years, and DK Metcalf didn't want to be a part of it. He's already 27 years old and is trying to accomplish something, anything at this point. He spent 6 years with the Seahawks and they haven't really done much with him. Now, he isn't coming off of the most impressive year, I'll give you that, because this season he played in 15 games, least all time. He only started in 12 of them, had 992 receiving yards, only had 66 receptions on 108 targets, and where he lacked the most was the red zone, because he was only able to get 5 touchdowns. But that had more to do with the new offensive scheme that DK Metcalf was being forced into under a new head coach in Mike Macdonald and new offensive coordinator in Ryan Grubb. Plus, like I mentioned, he missed a few more games than usual, so I'll cut DK some slack there. However, if we were to turn back the clock, 2 years to 2023, this is when Metcalf was a Pro Bowler for the second time in his career. In 2023, Metcalf had 1,114 receiving yards on 66 receptions again, had a few more targets, but most importantly, he found the end zone more often. He had 8 touchdowns this season. A great year for DK Metcalf, and he's been like that every season he's been in the league. You can't really find an underwhelming year. Maybe his rookie season, but again, not a lot was asked for him there. Maybe 2021, but still wasn't even that down of a year for Metcalf, all things considered. And that's exactly why the Steelers were willing to give up a second-round pick for him. So that leaves the Steelers only asking themselves one question, the most important question a franchise could ask themselves, which is who will be QB1 heading into next season? Option A, you have Russell Wilson. He's 36 years old, he's won a Super Bowl, he's a proven winner. He played 11 games for the team last year. He went 6-5, he had 2,482 passing yards, had about 16 touchdowns in the air, and a 63.7 completion percentage. And most importantly, he's played with DK Metcalf before. They were with each other in Seattle when DK Metcalf entered the league. Russell Wilson was his quarterback. So they have more than enough chemistry together. Obviously, DK Metcalf is wide receiver 1 heading into next season. Sorry to George Pickens, but this is now DK Metcalf's team. He is far and above better than what George Pickens is right now. However, he could be the mentor to George, so you got that going for you. And then there's option B, which seems to be getting more and more limited by the day. You got Darnold going to the Seahawks, Justin Fields to the Jets, and Aaron Rodgers to who knows where. But I'll tell you right now, whatever quarterback ends up in Pittsburgh will be a happy camper. They're going to a team with a loaded offense, aka DK Metcalf and George Pickens. They also get a great culture and an even better coaching staff. So whoever is throwing DK Metcalf the ball will be thriving in 2025, I can guarantee you that. But anyway, I think I've said everything I've wanted to about this video. Like I mentioned earlier, this will be a great fit for DK Metcalf. It can't get worse than his last few years in Seattle. So that's about it. Catch y'all later. Much love. Deuces.